today, tutoring on Wyzant. We had a question from John posted several years ago, and we're going to answer it just for fun now. He asked, you borrow $180 from a friend who doesn't charge you interest. You work out a payment schedule in which you will make weekly payments to your friend. The balance B in dollars of the loan is given by the function B equals 180 minus Pn, where P is the weekly payment and N is the number of weeks you make payments. Okay, now we're going to start with the B section of the question. It says, if you make weekly payments of $20, graph the function. Okay, so they give us this function here, and they basically want us to graph, which is what this question is asking. Before we graph, we're going to start by filling out our table of values. Notice over here, N fulfills the function of X, B fulfills the function of Y. We can start filling out the graph by plugging in 0, and we will solve the equation. As an example, 180 minus 20 times 0, what is that going to give us? We'll have 180 minus 20 times 0 is going to give us 0, of course, so we just end up with an output of 180 for the value of 0. We'll do one more value here. What happens if I plug in 1? I end up with 180 minus 20 times 1. We end up with 160. If I plug in 2, I'm going to end up with 140. So we can just keep doing this. It's also possible to use a calculator to solve this. But if we keep following the same pattern, we're going to have 3, 120, 4, 100, 5, 80, 6, 60, 7, 40, 8, 20, and 9, 0. Now, the ends are going to represent what would usually be the X values. They're going to be the horizontal line. The B's are on the Y-axis. So using these values here, I can plot points, and once I have a series of points, I can make a line. So I'll start with 0, and I'll start with 0, 180. That's 1 point, 1, 160. Another point, 2, 140. Another point. You can start to see the pattern here. You'll notice I'm using the Paint program. It's actually quite a lot easier to write on with the digital pen than the Wyzant board. Okay, now if I connect the dots, I'll end up with that function, that graph of the function. So that takes care of part B of the question. Now, looking at this answer, we now have a good guide to part A of the question, which is asking, what do the intercepts represent? The intercepts mean the point at which the line is crossing the axis. We can see the line's crossing the y-axis here. It's crossing the x-axis here. And now what we can see is that the intercepts really represent the point before the repayments begin and the point where repayment is completed. So if N represents the weeks that went by, if we're at week 0, I haven't started paying my friend back. We can see also here when I get to week 9, the B values are at 0. That means I have fully paid my friend back. Okay? So we can make that statement about what the intercepts represent. The next question asks,